Loop 2, Level 4. So continuing onward from the last video, you probably noticed I was using bombs pretty heavily. I was getting extremely close to some of the bullets. I was just barely getting by, and there was plenty of times there where I was pretty much just lucky to get through because I could have very easily died. And that's sort of going to continue from here on out. I'm going to die in like a minute here and get sent all the way back to the beginning of the level. I wasn't going for an absolute perfect run. I wasn't going for like no deaths or no bombs or all that fancy shit. I wasn't going for an amazing run. I wasn't trying to get a high score. I was just trying to get through the basic game. So things aren't going to be especially pretty from here on out. The main reason for this is because as the levels progressed, I spent less and less time with each individual level. Level 1 I had to play through a lot of times because I had to be good enough to get through the level competently, and with each level after that I had to be good enough at it to get into the second loop. Once I got into the second loop, I obviously had to practice that a little bit in order to get through things, but the later levels I didn't really reach all that often, and when I did, well, things didn't always go especially well, and obviously in order to get to those levels I would have to go through the earlier levels. So basically, you know some of the earlier levels like the back of your hand, you don't especially know the later levels all that well. So a lot of sloppy play styles, a lot of fuck-ups, bomb usages, there's going to be deaths. Everything is not going to be especially great from here on out, but again, I wasn't going for a perfect run, none of that stuff. I was just trying to get through the game, so if that's going to be a problem for you, just tune out right now. Okay, so now that that's over with, let's get back to this fucking video. A lot more bullets and a lot of really weird shit being thrown at me because fuck this fucking game. So one thing some of you may be noticing is that the game seems to be running a little bit slower at times than it was originally. No, that's not actually the emulator or my computer, at least not directly. You see, one of the things that Cave is known for is putting so much bullshit on screen that it actually lags the hardware. This is true of pretty much anything that any of their games has ever been on. The actual arcade hardware does this. The next-gen consoles, like have some games on the 360, that lags when they have like the higher difficulties on there. So it's not especially unique to this right here. And it's not me making the game easier or cheating or some of that other stuff. No, it's actually sort of the way the game works. Although that kind of works in your benefit because the game slowing down tends to happen when there's a lot of shit on screen. So it's sort of like the game focusing for you. Always a good little benefit. Always a good little benefit. Although sadly it happens a lot more often when you're converting bullets into gems, which doesn't really work in your favor because, well, let's face it, if you're creating gems, chances are you're not worrying too much about dodging bullets because most of the bullets that are actually going to be a risk for you are now gems. Okay. Whew. Take a deep breath here. So that's that level over with. Here's the Kraken. Once again, a really bullshit boss and a bit of a pain in the ass because it has a lot of patterns and it tends to really mix them up a lot more than the other bosses. So it's not especially pattern based quite to the extent of a lot of the other guys. So if you're playing this, it's probably not going to look exactly like this. It could be anything. It could throw fucking anything at you. So it's really fucking hard to figure out that stuff. I'm actually kind of surprised things went this well for me. This pattern here, you just really have to go for the gaps and avoid the random bullets, which are a huge hazard in this case. The sort of spiraling things that come out, that's a bit of a pain to get in front of because it kind of curves quite a bit and sometimes you accidentally find yourself right in front of it. I've died once or twice that way and that really fucking sucks. That pattern right there, actually really easy despite the fact that it looks like there's a lot of bullets on screen. No, you just have to go up and down, worry about stuff going sideways. It's nothing, it's cake. And this isn't especially hard either. Okay, first one is down. Only 2 more to go. Oh boy. But, well, things get a little bit easier from here on out. This one right here, it's pretty easy because you can convert stuff to gems and just shoot a bunch of enemies. So you create gaps if you want to. The gaps are a little small because everything's fast-paced, but if you've got the reaction time to get this far, chances are it's not too bad of a problem for you. But this right here, holy fuck, what the hell. I was fucking nervous as shit. I actually dodged through a couple of really dense bullet patterns here. It's amazing that I actually managed to survive that. That was not a very clean movement on my part, and that could have really, really fucked with me. Fortunately, I did have quite a few lives, so I wasn't too worried about sort of getting through it, because the last boss isn't quite as hard as some of the other things that Cave has been known to throw at players. And, well, it's not an extremely difficult game in some cases. It is rather hard, but it's sort of a bit more fair than one would typically expect. And, well, my opinion is that the 4th level is worse than the 5th. That is my opinion, that is my story, I am sticking to it. This one, the huge random shot thing, really easy, the bullets are super slow. Just aim for the gaps, it's nothing serious. And that, you just have to worry about going over the top of it. This is actually probably the hardest part of its entire pattern, because those bullets seem to stream just a little bit past you, and if you're not moving constantly while going between the shots, that can be a bit annoying. Plus, the spread shots sort of move in a diamond pattern, so sometimes you think you're safe, then the middle of the diamond will come up and cut you right in the ass. Fucking hate that shit. This one right here, just look for a crossover and go for the gap. Just get an idea of sort of the momentum the bullets have, and look for a gap, then push forward right through it the second you see it. It's pretty simple and stuff. Okay, so that's another level down, another level closer. Fuck you all and good night.